in there it states, if you know what's happening, you'll know what to do. Again, that's right up there with one of my favorite quotes from this entire book. At that point in the book, Nelson has laid out his whole idea. He started to give examples, and you're starting to realize how important using an infinite banking policy as a foundation for your financing and investing can be. And so he just hammers that home with that statement. And I feel the same way, right? One of the things that I share oftentimes with people when they ask us about infinite banking and how we got into it, one thing I tell them is that if you look at some of the top producers in infinite banking, very, very few of us kind of set out to be advisors.
Good point.
Right? Most of us are really just entrepreneurs or business owners that came across infinite banking and were like, man, this thing works. Other entrepreneurs need to know about it. And so again, once you hear about infinite banking, one is you feel obligated, one, to share it, but also number two is you have this desire to implement it into your life. And so one of my favorite quotes in this book, in addition, on this page, he also shares a couple other nuggets that, to be honest, I'd forgot about until I went looking and preparing for this. But there's two things that I wanted to share with you. Number one is there's a quote in here and it says, no one elevates himself much above the environment in which he operates. Really, really good quote. Anthony has touched on this more previously in one of our podcasts. I won't spend too much time, but everybody knows, right, that if you hang around with five guys that are broke, you're going to be the sixth broke guy, right? And so the community that you're going to find yourself in is absolutely important. And it also goes along with the other point that he makes on this page is, man, he gives us this idea of what it looks like to create wealth over the long term. And he actually lays it out in three different steps. Number one is you have to understand the difference between price versus value. Price is what you pay for something, and the value is what it provides. Everyone understands the price of insurance, but very few people understand the value that comes along with that. And those are the things that we talk about all the time, control and some of those intangibles that's tough to put a price tag on. The other thing they says is go out there and find a coach, find a mentor to whatever you want to be doing. In this instance, he's talking about personal finance, right? But when you go out there and you find a coach, number one, it's going to help you avoid mistakes. You're going to be able to move much faster. And then whatever the process that you're going down is going to be customized to you. So finding a mentor, finding a coach, absolutely vital. And then the third one that he shares in here is get invited or get involved with a wealth club, right? People, right? Everyone is talking about that idea about getting in community. But I wanted to echo it here is because I know that when I first came across infinite banking, I felt like the lone wolf. There was no one that I knew that had any idea about infinite banking, nor was anybody actually practicing it. And so that's one thing I would tell you. If you guys are out there and you're listening to this and you're like, man, seems like a great idea, but I don't know anybody else doing it, call us, right? We've been doing this for a really long time. We've got a great community that we built, and we'd love to get you plugged into it.
Well done, Cam.
Thanks.
You mind if I ask you a follow-up question to that?
I do. Moving on. Just kidding. Go ahead. What do you got?
No, you brought up a good point that most of the IBC people didn't start off as financial planners, right? Why do you think that is?
Well, number one is if you find infinite banking, typically it's not the traditional financial planners are not the ones that are dispensing this information, right? Nor is it the banks and nor is it the insurance companies. What you're going to find is it's typically an entrepreneur out there that found this strategy and is implementing it and is starting to share it. So the traditional avenue of financial advisors learning infinite banking and then sharing it, it's become more common in what I would say in the last 5 years or so. But man, when we first got into it, they absolutely were not sharing it. Nobody had a clue or anything about it. But now as it's gaining popularity, traditional advisors are starting to take a look and trying to figure this thing out for sure.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good take.
Yeah, thanks.
You want to see the entire episode? Click here. If you want to learn how investors use infinite banking to increase their returns and lower their taxes, click here. If you want to see if infinite banking is for you and you have some questions, hop on a discovery call with us and one of our coaches. The link for that will be in the description.